Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name's Morgan Colby.
What's up?
I got Rick Lemon with me as always, Poppin' Ricardo.
What's up?
Rick,
currently on my deathbed.
Yeah, currently he may or may not have COVID, so I feel like we have this conversation every other week. I told my wife that you were sick, Rick, and she said, again?
You guys say this.
It's a trend, bro. You were sick
because
all the time.
No, because you guys just know when I'm sick because I just happen to get sick when we're recording.
Yeah.
I haven't been sick in like 2 months.
Yeah, and I haven't been sick since last summer.
Okay, well, I guess. Yeah.
You gotta get that immune system checked out, my guy.
It's not the best. I'll give you that. But I've
and
never
you're like
been
healthier than I am, so that makes.
I have never tested positive for COVID, so I mean, there's that.
That's good news. You got 2.5 years
it might
in
end.
this freaking thing.
It might end right now, but
Omicron. You get the Omicron variant. Anyway, welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Today we have a lot of interesting stuff to get to. I believe on our Thursday show we're going to make predictions pertaining to the big game, Super Bowl 56?
Oh my gosh, I think so. 56 sounds
the
about right.
NFL is almost as old as my dad.
It is about as old as my dad.
Thinking about that. The Super Bowl. My dad is older than the Super Bowl. That's weird. Is it really Super Bowl 56? I feel like I should know this.
I feel like I should too, and I want to say yes.
It is Super Bowl 56. All right, we good.
Okay.
I'm excited about a plethora of things. Did not watch the Pro Bowl at all. Tweeted about it, but I did not watch it.
Like most of America.
Yeah, like most of America. And I'm excited to watch the NFL next Sunday for the last time for, I don't know, what is it, 8 months? 7 months?
Yeah, a long time.
Freaking miserable is what it's going to be. But we got each other, and we got fantasy football talk all offseason, so it should be fun. Hopefully. I was thinking about it. Like, usually I start getting excited about like baseball for like 2 weeks. And baseball's in a lockout, so.
Baseball is the type of sport too that just can't afford a lockout whatsoever, and they'll have one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Have you watched any of the Olympics?
No. So I was telling my friend this today. Usually I love the Winter Olympics because it has hockey, and it's actually them trying. Like, you know how the NBA, they try, but it's USA just dominates everybody?
Yeah.
In the Summer Olympics. So hockey's not like that because it's Russia, Canada, USA. Like, it's an actual, like, event. And they have all the best players playing it, and they want to play in it.
The only time,
so it's basically like an all-star game.
The NBA loses in the Olympics is because...
Like their under-18 team?
No, it's because they just don't give a frick.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But hockey, they treat it like the Stanley Cup. And they're all like trying their hardest. So it's a great, great event. The NHL, a month before the Winter Olympics, made their players back out. So anyone who plays in the NHL was not allowed to go to the Olympics.
All right, that's stupid.
Yeah, so it's all like random, like D2 college players. It's like it's not the same. It's not good.
I'm getting lit watching luge and curling.
The two probably worst ones in my opinion. That's bobsledding. You know, how Jamaican bobsled luge.
Bro, those guys go. We gotta move on. But those guys move like 80 miles an hour on a friggin' sled. If they fall off, you
one of the most dangerous.
Wrecked.
Yeah, it's literally one of those dangerous things you could do.
I also like watching snowboarding. That's fun.
Yeah, snowboarding's cool.
But anyway. So, we're going to have nothing to watch after the NFL is over. But we got the Bengals, we got the Chiefs. We're going to make predictions on Thursday for that game. But for today's show, we have free agent, tight end, and quarterbacks for the 2022 season. We're going to run through some different options and some guys that could be on the move this offseason. Quarterbacks are very interesting in a lot of ways. This offseason should be interesting when it comes to the quarterback position. So we're not just going to talk about free agency for quarterbacks. We're going to talk about the gamut, all the players that could be moving. And then there's some decent tight ends out there. So this show shouldn't take too long now that it's been a full 6 minutes of us talking about luge and curling.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's jump in. Check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, click the bell for notifications, subscribe, like, and comment down below.
Make sure you comment your favorite Winter Olympic sport.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. You know, I was thinking about it, and I understand, there's the NFL's going on and stuff like that, but why is football probably the single most grossing sport in the history of the world? I guess probably over exaggerated.
America. Probably America.
Football, NFL football, like, it's not in the Olympics.
I know it's because America would just, like, even worse than basketball, would dominate.
We don't
so
even
bad.
get like foreign entities. We don't get Euro stashes.
It's not a national sport.
Yeah,
it's not a national sport.
Imagine a U.S. team against like Canada. It'd be like 75-10.
Yeah, I don't even think they'd get that.
It honestly would probably be college students.
Think of how good Team USA would be. Like, just imagine that roster.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. They also probably don't have the money to make 55 medals.
No, probably not.
But anyway, let's talk about quarterbacks first on this list. You think we should go through tight ends first? Which boring position do you want to start with?
Well, we started quarterback, so I guess we can just do that.
All right. So, interesting situation for the quarterback position. First, we'll go through the quarterbacks that are on the free agent market, guys that could possibly move in free agency this particular year. And then we'll talk about some guys that could be on the move in trades. So it should be an interesting episode, at least for this section. So let's start with the quarterback position at the free agency level. There's only 2 guys, maybe 3. Probably not 3. Maybe just 1 guy that would start next year at the free agent.
I really think it's going to be 1.
I'll
maybe
throw
2.
out 4 guys, see if there's any like.
Okay.
Because there are some teams this offseason that could use a quarterback. Most teams would prefer to build their quarterback room from the draft. If they're trying to rebuild, they don't want to go out and sign a quarterback. It makes 0 sense unless their goal is to tank and go for the next year's draft, which is stacked, by the way, at the quarterback position. But the first guy on the list is Jameis the famous Winston.
Yeah, Jameis Winston.
So he had an interesting start. It wasn't really like great. It was all right.
Yeah,
to the season, but he suffered an ACL tear that knocked him out of the second half of the season. Obviously disappointing for Jameis Winston. I think he was the best option at quarterback for the Saints. They kind of fell apart after he was done. I don't know where he could go. A reunion in Tampa Bay would be interesting.
So, there's a report by Fantasy Post 2 days ago.
Okay.
Saying someone from the Tampa Bay Times speculates the Buccaneers might be interested in bringing back Jameis Winston this offseason.
Yeah, I was going to say a reunion with the Bucs seems most likely.
I think the way it ended there, though, might, kind of be hard feelings for Winston, or you don't think he cares.
It could, but when you're talking about a guy who is probably going to be a backup if he gets an opportunity to start anywhere, he'd probably say yes. So
Yeah, there's places Winston could start. I think if he goes back to the Saints, he should be the starter. Played good enough.
What are the chances of him going back to the Saints?
The reason it's unlikely is because they just don't have any. Their salary cap situation is horrible. So if he wants and just a half decent contract, he won't go back to the Saints.
Okay.
And honestly, at this point, the situation blows. They're probably going to trade Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara got arrested, and there's been trade rumors with him. Sean Payton retired. Like, the Saints are going to be awful next year, or they could potentially be awful next year.
Hey, you keep Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara gets out of prison, and you bring Jameis the Famous back.
I mean, they were still like a 7-9 team, 8-9.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad.
Winston,
what about teams like Denver, Pittsburgh?
The Saints. I mean, not the Saints, the Steelers. Yeah, I was gonna say the Steelers.
You got Carolina out there.
Yep.
Washington
Denver
football
and Carolina.
Team.
At this point, Denver and Carolina, I think
we're not Washington football team Commanders. I got to get used to that.
Oh gosh. I don't think Denver and Carolina at this point, they either want a huge upgrade or they're just going to reset draft.
Yeah.
The Commanders is an interesting one. I would love that from McLaurin.
Wait, did you say Pittsburgh and Carolina or Denver and Carolina?
Denver and Carolina.
So you think Denver's going to draft a quarterback?
No, I don't think they want to. But if they miss out on Rodgers and they miss out on Deshaun Watson and all those guys, there is rumors that they could look to draft a quarterback, which would be dumb, I think. Especially with the roster they have, it's a very win now. But yeah, I mean, I would like Winston in Denver. I would like him pretty much in a lot of spots, just not the Saints, actually.
Okay.
Tampa would be okay.
For fantasy, he's been like this year, not so much with the Saints because of just the way they run their offense and stuff like that. But in the past, when he's had a starting role and he's been healthy, he's actually been pretty fantasy relevant. So the question is, does he go to a team that, is actually in need of a quarterback and, will give them the opportunity? Like if he goes to, and I don't think this is going to happen, by the way, but if he goes to like Pittsburgh, I actually think there's a good chance that he could be decent with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like if you're telling me that, like Jameis Winston can't play to the level of Ben Roethlisberger
at the end of his career. Right?
Yeah. At the end of or I'm just talking about this year's Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
Like if Jameis Winston does that, I'm so used to saying Jameis the Famous, but anyway, if Winston does that and he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he could actually be decent for the Pittsburgh Steelers in real life and also be a good fantasy asset. But I'm not running out and I'm not like, okay, I'm going to pound the table and be like, he has to go there. It just really depends on landing spot for me with Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about landing spot.
I think Teddy Bridgewater experienced his last opportunity in the NFL to start.
I agree.
I do want to. PFF has this little descriptor here, and I do want to read that. I don't know if you want to give your thoughts on Jameis because Teddy Bridgewater because they have a projected contract of 2 years, $20 million, and I don't know why that would be a thing.
I mean, that's like an extremely high end backup, someone who could compete for a starting job, but it's not necessarily like a starter. Oh wait, $20 million a year?
Yeah. Or
$20 million total?
$20 million average a year.
That would be ridiculous. I don't see a team offering Teddy Bridgewater that. I'd be shocked. He statistically wasn't awful, but I think there was a stat where he got away with some of like the most intercepted passes in the league. Like he could have easily had like 20 interceptions this year and he had 7. He doesn't really move the ball. The games that he played his best were when they were running the ball the whole time. And he, as a game manager, he's a fantastic backup quarterback, but if you want him to be a starter and
Nick Foles,
he's not going to be that. He's Nick Foles. The Broncos have
Foles. Did you say the word Nick Foles or?
No, but that's pretty much what it is. The Broncos have a good enough roster where they should not have only won, 7 games this year?
Yeah.
8 games. They just have a good enough team where they just need a quarterback upgrade. He's not coming back to Denver. Unless again they like draft someone, they want a veteran. That's the only way I see Bridgewater playing next year is if he kind of just comes in for like a veteran role, like a Tyrod Taylor situation for a young quarterback. Maybe whatever team drafts Malik Willis. Maybe bring in Teddy Bridgewater for like half a season.
Yeah.
And just see where you go. But other than that, no, I don't really see him being a starter.
Bro, did you see this report? Somebody just sent this to me. I think he sent it to you too. Yeah, he did. Odell Beckham says he was very close to signing with the Patriots. He spoke with Belichick during his brief time as a free agent.
Yeah, he says if it would have been 3 years earlier with Tom Brady, it would have been ideal.
Poor Mac.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so yeah, no, I agree. I don't think, by the way, he's going to get 2 years, $20 million. Teddy Bridgewater.
No, he's not.
That's not happening.
Maybe he might get that
the
total.
argument here in this article is that the market for quarterbacks this year is weird because there's no quarterbacks in the draft, and so the argument would be go out and sign Teddy Bridgewater, similar to how Case Keenum signed a 2 year, $36 million deal with the Broncos after an NFC Championship game run with the Minnesota Vikings in 2017. But Teddy Bridgewater sucked, and he didn't make the playoffs. So he's not getting a 2 year, $20 million contract. I would eat my shorts live on this podcast.
I'd be very surprised, too, if that happened.
I also do not think he's going to end up being a starter.
Yeah. I don't either.
Like, at two teams, he literally had a shot with Minnesota, didn't work. He had a shot with Carolina, didn't work. Had a shot with New Orleans, it kind of worked, but then didn't.
Kind of, it didn't, yeah.
And then Denver didn't work. And I know he's under the age of 30 years old, but he's just not. There comes a point where you look at him and you're like, okay, it's not working.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I think he's a great backup.
I do too.
Like if Teddy Bridgewater is your backup, you're in a good spot. But as a starter in the NFL, I just don't think he's that.
Yeah, so I would be surprised. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're like freaking Washington last year signed Ryan Fitzpatrick to start.
Would Teddy Bridgewater be an upgrade over Taylor Heineke? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he would be an upgrade on Heineke, but it's not that much. But I do think it would be an upgrade. Not worth 2 years, $20 million though. No. So I don't. If he gets a starting job, I'm not really looking at it going, okay, this guy is going to be the difference, the arbiter between fantasy relevance and not fantasy relevance. I don't think he's going to be worth anything in drafts. I don't think he's going to worth anything in fantasy football next year at all. So I would take him off the radar. Other guys, notables. Marcus Mariota had some interesting time. He's 28 years old. He had an interesting time with the Raiders. I don't believe the Raiders would bring him back. I don't think he's going to get a starting opportunity. I think any team that he goes to, he would have to earn it.
I actually think Mariota would have a better chance of starting than Bridgewater.
Yeah.
But I agree. I don't think he's going to.
So I don't think he's there. And then the only other guy that I can see that would maybe sign a contract and be a starter is Mitch Trubisky. He had a tenure with the Bears, went and played with Dayball. I don't know if that's going to affect people's status of him at all and what their thought is, and he maybe sign and get a shot at a starting job with a team, but I don't think that's going to happen either. So they don't even have him signing. And
no, don't kill me if you're a Steelers fan, but this is just a suggestion. You think it's possible, like a team like the Steelers, okay, that needs a quarterback, doesn't exactly have a lot of cap space, could bring in like two of these guys, like bring in Bridgewater and Trubisky and let them, have a off-season battle and just roll with that.
Yeah, that could happen.
It'd be gross.
It would be very gross. All right, so I quickly want to run through the carousel of quarterbacks this offseason, and let me know if I miss one. But we got Russ.
Okay. Yep.
Possibility. We got Watson, obviously.
Yep.
We got Rodgers.
Yep.
And then we got Jimmy.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think those are I think that's probably the four guys.
Okay.
We're looking at.
So we'll go top to bottom. We don't have a lot of time with this, but Russell Wilson. These guys are all more fantasy relevant. We probably should have started with this and spent 20 minutes on this. But anyway, so Russ, the rumors have been floating around that Russ does not want to be, and it's last offseason it sounded like, all right, that could happen. This offseason for Seattle, it sounds like it will happen. That he will not be a Seattle Seahawk. So the question is, where, like, what I know a lot of teams would be interested in Russ, but what are the chances he does end up getting traded and moves this offseason?
I think he wants out. There's no question about that. But does that mean he's going to get traded? Not necessarily. He's obviously the franchise quarterback. He's got term left on his deal. I'd probably put it around like a 40-50% chance he gets traded.
Okay.
So it's definitely a possibility, but it's not as likely to me as like Watson or Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Or below, which is like close to 100. So he's probably the least likely of the four to get traded, but it's still a possibility. And I know he hasn't said this, but the rumors have been that he wants to play in a big market. So like New York, I'm hoping that means Boston. I
don't know if I want
even in LA or like a situation like that, you know, a big market. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know. For me, it's like I don't even know. Like it's such a hard thing to do. Like trading a franchise quarterback,
especially one that has term, and yeah,
it's really hard to do. And so there's a couple of conflicting reports. On January 29th, The Athletic's Jeff Howe reported that the Seahawks have shown no interest in trading Russell Wilson unless they're absolutely forced to. And that would mean Russ publicly coming out and saying, I don't want to be a Seahawk, get me out of here. That would be probably what he would have to do. Ian Rappaport wouldn't rule out a Russell Wilson trade this offseason. So it definitely sounds more like the 40%, maybe even to 30% chance of that happening this offseason, to Rick's point. Obviously, fantasy-wise, him staying in Seattle would be ideal, but what are like one or two landing spots Russell Wilson has an opportunity to go to?
So it's kind of interesting because the Giants are like a team that could either be horrible, but they have pieces that it would actually be an upgrade if everything works out with Brian. Like if Brian Duball knows what he's doing.
I've heard a lot of Giants.
You got Kadarius Toney. I've heard a lot of Giants. If Kenny Golladay can, rejuvenate his career a little bit with Russ, which I think he could, and then decent pieces like Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, whatnot, that could work. I don't know. There's not a lot of landing spots though that I would be like, oh yeah, that's great. Seattle's not great, but it's not bad either. He has Metcalf, he has Lockett.
Yeah.
The only problem is they don't run or they don't throw the ball a lot. Although they have tried to recently. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Their offense is just so stale. It might do Russ a good change to get out of there and maybe produce fantasy wise. This is coming from a Washington newspaper, I think. So take that for a grain of salt. But they said in this report, based on the sources, is that Russell Wilson is not against being traded to Washington either, which kind of makes sense. Washington, D.C., big city, same division, NFC East, as the Giants. That would be interesting. I don't know if that would be better, though. Like Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. I don't know if that's better, to be honest. So I don't know. It's kind of tough with Russ. But no matter where he goes, he's going to be at least good.
Yeah, yeah. And he obviously would elevate the rest of the roster too. So the pieces surrounding that, like if he was traded to the Commanders, for example, like McLaurin would go through the roof. Gibson through the roof. Like those assets would just become. I think secondary players would start getting overdrafted. Like
Curtis Samuel, don't want to be Brown.
Yeah, seriously. So you have a whole situation surrounding that. I don't think Pittsburgh would be a market he would go to. Really any of the
I think
teams
he wouldn't mind, but they just don't have the assets.
Right.
Pittsburgh assets.
I see Denver. They're always in the market to make a run. So there's a chance that they could try to maybe.
I would love Denver. That would be
make
good.
a run, but I would say the two most likely teams are the Giants and I would say Washington.
I agree.
So that to me is, I mean, I could be dead wrong on that, but those are the teams I've heard the most surrounding.
Me too.
Russ.
Me too. Yeah.
I think if I had to place bets, I would probably say he stays in Seattle this offseason again.
I think I would too.
I don't think he's going anywhere. So the other quarterback, Deshaun Watson, he's out. Like this is they got to get rid of him, and they were waiting for an opportune moment to do so. There were rumors, a lot of rumors this season surrounding Miami. Considering that the guy that wanted Deshaun Watson is now gone, it seems as if they are doubling down in Miami on Tua Tagovailoa. Yep. And that they want to move forward with him, which is the biggest brick decision. I understand keeping all your picks because you have like 4 first-round picks and a lot to build around, but like honestly, I'd rather have the franchise quarterback.
See, yeah,
but anyways,
Tua blows again next year.
No, I know.
Yikes.
Miami is one of those teams. I think you could see
kind of the same list.
Yeah,
similar list. Denver for sure.
I'm curious, like what. Because I haven't really heard anything surrounding Watson, and it's been kind of quiet on that front. He's clearly not interested in playing for Houston.
No.
That's never going to happen again. So he's going to get traded or cut or something like that. Texans general manager Nick Caserio said it's more than likely Deshaun Watson won't play for the Texans again. Adam Schefter reports the Dolphins' chances of trading for Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson are greatly diminished after firing coach Brian Flores. And then
the owner of the New York Giants also said that they won't be pursuing Deshaun Watson because it's a bad PR thing.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. So he won't go to the Giants.
I think that is going to be a wild card move. Like, I think
this is an interesting one.
A team is going to come out of nowhere.
This article says the Eagles because they have 3 first-round picks this year.
Oh, interesting. Well, you know what the problem is?
So they could package Jalen Hurts.
Is you got Rodgers and Russ out there as well. And I feel like there's going to be a very diminished market for not diminished, but there's going to be what you would normally get for a franchise quarterback in a trade, you wouldn't get because there's 3 options out there. So a GM is going to walk into a room for Deshaun Watson and is going to say, okay, well, I've been talking to the Seahawks and I've been talking to the Packers about the possibility of trading for those guys. And you want 3 first-round picks for a quarterback that raped 6 women and is basically in free agency? Like, this is basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's terrible. So, I don't feel like Deshaun Watson is going to be an easy sell for 3 first-round picks.
Especially the asking price. When Miami almost made the deal to get Watson, the deal was supposedly 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, 6 draft picks. I'd probably do it if you really need a quarterback, but it's still a huge asking price.
Yeah. So I don't know where Watson's going to go. I think there's going to be a wild card team that flies in there and makes a trade. What are the chances, by the way, of one of these teams with their rookie quarterback from this past season making a deal? Like a 49ers heard that Russ wanted to play for the 49ers.
I feel like all of them would probably
stand put. Though. They would never do that.
The 49ers invested so much into Trey Lance. I think they're going to give him at least a shot. Same with Fields and the Bears. The Jets and Jags, like they were the number 1 and 2 overall pick. Mm-hmm. I don't think they would. I mean, maybe the Jets, maybe if anyone. And then the Patriots, I don't think so either.
So Watson's a wild card. Keep an eye on that situation. And then you have Rodgers, who is an interesting guy. I don't know, man. He was kind of confusing as well. And this is going to be he is actually, I believe he's not. Doesn't his contract expire
Yeah, he signed a deal last year that would let him play one more year with the Packers, but it's easy to get traded.
Okay, all right.
So he's technically signed, but it's a flexible deal.
So, Ian Rappaport reported that there is cautious optimism that Rodgers stays with the Packers for 2022. Rodgers sat down with Matt LaFleur and others to plan the future of the franchise. Rodgers appears to be on better terms with the team, but a separation remains in play. LaFleur commented that there were no plans for the team to rebuild shortly after Rodgers said that he didn't want to be part of a rebuild.
Interesting.
Hold on a second. A lot of interesting reports over the weekend, or not weekend. What the hell day is it? It's the 7th, so this was like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, Tony Pauline of Pro Football Network reported that Aaron Rodgers told people in confidence he wants free agent Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling wherever he plays next.
Yeah,
and
I like that
Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams would love to team up with the Denver Broncos.
So if that happens, Jerry Jeudy's gone, right? He would be a part of the Rodgers trade. We have to imagine.
That is also a report because Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos. So, with all of those reports being said, I was going to say my most likely, if he does not stay with the Green Bay, the most likely landing spot for Aaron Rodgers would be Denver. I think that is the one spot that he would go. He's either going to be a Packer or he's going to be a Bronco. And that's pretty definitive in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors about Tennessee. Titans general manager, though, John Robinson, said publicly that Tannehill will be back next year. Quote, Ryan's our quarterback. Robinson said he's made a lot of plays for us. He's a great leader. He's extremely tough, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt because Cliff Kingsbury also said Josh Rosen is their guy. So you never know.
Yeah.
But the Titans have made it clear that they want Ryan Tannehill to be their guy, and they have no interest in Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Yeah, so I think definitely Denver is the one. If he leaves Green Bay, Denver's the place, which would stack the AFC. I don't know for long. I don't know for how long because Rodgers has got maybe 1 or 2 years left in the bag. Not in terms of I think he could play for a while at his current capabilities, but I think he's done with football. So I don't see more than 2 years with Aaron Rodgers left in the league.
I agree. It's probably like 2 years.
But wouldn't that be funny? Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams team up in Denver? Sheesh.
It's insane. That'd be insane.
Yeah. With Jerry Jeudy and all those guys.
That's beyond loaded. It's overkill. It's the Buccaneers.
For sure. And then the other guy, Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like personally this particular player, he's played his last game as a 49er. This is the most there's a good shot that Russ, chance. Watson, and Rodgers, Watson just doesn't get traded. And he sits out or never plays NFL game again for whatever reason, that whole situation stays stagnant. And then Russ and Rodgers stay where they're put. But Jimmy's definitely leaving. He's gone, and he's going to find a starting job anywhere else because he's better than the free agent quarterbacks. There has been a lot of connections to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and Washington, I think, are the two teams that I've seen the most.
So either one works. I think Jimmy does enhance either one of those teams because Jimmy's better than any quarterback that Washington has had, and Jimmy is also better than any quarterback play that Big Ben played this year. So, yeah, I think either one of those teams could work out. I think he's definitely. It would suck for Jimmy, but I think Pittsburgh would sign him and then draft a guy.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Even Washington too. I think both those teams could draft a quarterback and still bring in Jimmy. At this point, Jimmy, unfortunately, didn't show enough, I think, at the end with the 49ers, especially the playoffs, where a team is going to be comfortable with him being a starter for the next few years.
Yeah.
He's definitely a major upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater, Taylor Heineke, one of those guys. But he's probably going to just be in the same spot where a team drafts. Again, I come back to Malik Willis because he's the most raw. potential kind of quarterback in the draft. But whoever team drafts him, I could see the team trying to add Garoppolo. Even the Panthers has been a rumor I've heard as well about Jimmy.
Yeah. So those are the quarterbacks. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of. It would be fun if all of these quarterbacks change teams.
It would,
because we thought this was going to happen last offseason. Then everyone, like I said, it's hard to trade a superstar franchise quarterback.
Yeah, we had a couple, Stafford and Goff, right? And
well, Stafford franchise quarterback.
Stafford is, I would say.
Okay, all right.
He's not. I don't think he's like a tier
like
below
these guys.
Rodgers and Russ and Watson. Yeah. But he's higher than Garoppolo.
But it's still hard. It's hard to do because there's so much draft capital that goes into it. There's so much like stuff that goes into trading for these guys that it's just like it's almost too much work to do it. You know, go draft the guy with your 7 picks instead. Like I think a team like Miami looked at that situation and said, "Okay, Tua has been like serviceable. We won a bunch of games with him this year, and we have 3 or 4 first-round picks that we can use to build the team and get 4 really good players in here to put around Tua."
Which I think is kind of dumb. But
I mean, I agree. It is dumb, but I think teams would rather have the 4 players than have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, which is a problem with the league. It's the reason why teams like Miami have been Miami for so long.
It's Miami, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, those 4 guys, interesting situations. Keep an eye on those. Really quickly, at the tight end position, there's a couple of free agents out there. Not too many that are really interesting. I want to say Gronk is out there, but he's going to retire. He's done. There's guys like Zach Ertz, Gerald Everett, Evan Ingram. So there's a market out there for some guys.
Veteran tight ends.
I think Evan Ingram is dead. He probably goes back to the Giants.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens with Gerald Everett, but I don't think he was that good with Seattle anyway.
Yeah. He's actually okay.
With Seattle.
Yeah.
He goes anywhere else, he's basically worthless.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
I think, but that's the other thing is that he's worthless with Seattle without Russ. So it's like, unless he goes somewhere where he's going to be the feature tight end, like it's not going to work.
Well, yeah.
I think Evan Ingram has a better shot of being a featured offensive tight end than Gerald Everett does. But anyway, Zach Ertz is 1,007 years old. I'm going to say that he resigns with Arizona.
I agree with that. He would have to take a small contract, I think. But I think he liked his time at Arizona. I could see that.
David Njoku is a free agent.
He's someone that actually could go. He's probably one of the bigger ones. He's requested a trade before from the Browns. He's a good player, just hasn't had a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
But I don't know where he would go where he could get that.
Do you think Tennessee would be an option?
I think that would be decent. Play the Jonnu role, but I don't know.
So yeah, David Njoku is a guy. Gronk, obviously, he's not going to play football again.
No, retired.
Unless he convinces Tom Brady to come back.
Dalton Schultz, who's number 2 on this list. Right now, the rumor is the Cowboys are going to franchise tag him.
Okay. All right. So Dalton Schultz staying with the Cowboys.
Yep.
And then Mike Gesicki.
I think he stays with the Dolphins too, but I mean, he could get big money if he decides to leave.
There's rumors that they could franchise tag him.
Yeah, that's what I would expect too.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't think there's a lot of movement with the tight end position. I think the market headlines with Njoku.
I agree.
Zach Ertz and Gerald Everett and Evan Ingram.
Yeah. Just falls off.
I know. So bad. I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement from the tight end position this year. I think it's going to stand pretty flat. There are projections for David Njoku that he could get a Hunter Henry like contract possibly. So we'll see where that goes. But those are the tight ends. Unless you had any other thoughts on the tight ends.
No, I think that's.
I feel like Gesicki and Schultz are the two main ones.
They are definitely the two main ones.
Like they're fantasy relevant. The rest of the guys really aren't so much fantasy relevant.
And Njoku could if he gets a big contract in a good spot.
But that's that's asking a lot of situational stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. There are your free agent quarterbacks, free agent tight ends, and some quarterback trade talk. I guess any one of the quarterbacks in trades could actually get cut, and we could just have them be free agents. But either way, those are the guys. Thursday, we got some good stuff coming. Be sure to check it out. See you later, guys.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.